Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Wayne County Zoological Authority meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Morrow,
Present.
Commissioner Marecki, Mr. Katz,
Here.
Ms. DeNaro. Present. Chair Belle,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you so much. Next item, please.
Approval of the minutes from the September 27th, 2021 meeting.
Okay, hopefully everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from the 27th of September meeting. If so, I'll entertain a motion.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any corrections, deletions, discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wish to abstain?
Motion carries.
All right, thank you so much. Next item, please.
Unfinished business, there is none listed. We are moving to new business. The first three items are receive and file items. Item number 1 is a correspondence from Livonia City Clerk on a public hearing tax transfer authority letter.
Okay, let's take 1, 2, and 3 together. The receive and files, are there any questions on those? Okay, hearing no questions, is there a motion?
So move. Support.
Okay, it's been moved to receive and file items 1, 2, and 3. And again, there are correspondences from Livonia, Lincoln Park, and Plymouth Township. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Anyone wish to abstain?
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 4 is a approval of the request for price quote for the audit of the Wayne County Zoological Authority for fiscal years 22, 23, and 24.
All right, do we have that before us? In the packet? Does everyone have the packet? If not, okay, it's up on the screen. Format, by any chance? You have it. Let me just have one, if you have one. Okay, let's look up, can you all see on the screens? The proposals for the audit? And if you could read the quotes for me, Madam Clerk. Yep.
Currently, Gregory Terrell and Company does the audit for the zoo. And this is a proposal, he's been doing it for a number of years, I think since the inception of the zoological. That's for quotes to go out for bids, just to have some, see if any other auditors are available and to put it out for competition. So I followed the same format that was done in the past. And it's just asking for people to submit quotes if you're interested in placing a bid to do the audit for the Zoological Authority.
Quotes are due back what date?
It will be out for 6 weeks or whatever period you all want it out. I think I have on here for 6 weeks and I have it due back April 22nd.
So as you all know, standard practices for audits is that you change generally every 6 to 10 years. We've had Gregory Terrell, since the zoo, it's been 10 years now, 12 years? How long have we been here? So we've had him for at least 10 years since we've been doing the Zoo Authority. So this is going out for bid, as was stated, to see if anyone else can provide a better quote. And then I guess the question would be, if Mr. Terrell is still the lowest bidder, do we want to continue to have him as the lowest bidder, or would we want to change altogether just because he's been doing the audit for all these years? So that's something we can ponder. And then once the bids are back, we can make a decision on who we would want to choose going forward. Because the audit will have to start pretty quickly after we get the auditing bids back. So, any questions, discussion on that? Wafa?
The Wayne County Legislative Auditor General has provided a list of recommendations to directly solicit. There are about 9 firms on the list. So I was proposing that we go that route, and if you want to do any other route, we can discuss it, and I can talk to the chair and you guys about giving it on.
Minority and women, if I may add.
That I'm not sure, but I can check with the Auditor General.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, if we're doing direct solicitations, I want to make sure we're at least reaching out to some minority-owned and women-owned companies.
Up the list and tell you who's on it. Definitely talk to Marcy.
Is there a cost to put it on Bidmet or any other of the platforms that we normally use for the county at large? I don't know if there's a cost to do that or not. So the average cost of the contract has been about, I want to say, $12,000, $13,000, somewhere around that. So you do a 2-year contract, so that's why that stands out of my mind. So it's not a huge contract, but still it's you know, if it's good to have work. So whoever we choose will be, if they're interested, they'll put forth a competitive bid and we'll move forward with that. So the item for us today is to approve this going out for bid. So what we'll do is we'll put it on all means necessary throughout the county, and then we'll have it out for 6 weeks, come back April 22nd. We'll meet sometime after that, shortly after that, to choose a vendor so that they can begin the work. So is there a motion for item 4 to approve the request for to go out for bid for auditor?
To approve.
Been moved? Moved and supported. Any additional discussion on that item? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, any abstentions? Ayes have it. All right, thank you so much. All right, so again, and the clerk will let us know to answer your question, Wafa, of our direct solicitation. If you could just email that to us, Pam, if anyone on our direct solicitation is a minority firm, minority or women-owned firm, and then we'll let you know, and then we'll again have the quotes back in about 6 weeks. All right, next item. As many of you know, Ron Kagan resigned. I won't say resigned, I'll say retired after many years of being the zoo director. And there was an extensive search done. And we're so happy and proud that the zoo selected Haley Murphy, Dr. Haley Murphy, as the new CEO of the Detroit Zoo. And she is online with us today. So I just wanted to have her give her an opportunity to introduce herself, maybe share a little bit of her background and share her vision as our new Detroit Zoo Director. Dr. Murphy, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here by Zoom. I wish that I could have been there in person. Of course, we're still trying to get out of this pandemic, but I'm thrilled to be here. I hope that next time I can be in person. Yeah, so I'm a veterinarian, and I came here because of my passion for animal welfare and conservation and the zoo's reputation. And so I was deputy director at Zoo Atlanta for 12 years. And before that, I was head of the veterinary services and conservation initiatives at Zoo New England in Boston for 15 years. So fairly extensive background in zoos. Really what another reason I came to the Detroit Zoo, or it was on my radar for a long time, is I kind of grew up in this area, and we came every summer. I grew up in upstate New York because I played the fife in a fife and drum band corps, and the Greenfield Village sponsored a fife and drum muster every year. So this was our family vacation spot. And we came here, we camped, we explored Detroit. I've been to the zoo many times. And so it's always been kind of my home zoo, if you will. So I'm thrilled to be here. I wanted to tell you a little bit about what we did in 2021 and what we're looking at for 2022, if that's okay. I have a short PowerPoint, or if I can just share my screen. Hopefully this works. Can you all see that? Yes, okay, good. You'd think by now Zoom would be like second nature, but I still get nervous and I'm gonna mess it up somehow. So I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot because so much is happening, so much has happened obviously through the pandemic, and so much exciting things are happening, and tell you my vision for the zoo as we go through this. Certainly COVID-19 hit all of us very hard. We have 95% of our staff vaccinated, which is fantastic. We were closed in March of 2020, retained essential staff. Obviously, when you're a zoo, your living animal population doesn't stop. So we had to keep essential staff on ground. So our expenses were very high. We had to reduce our workforce. And I will say I'm very proud, even though I wasn't here, when I look at what happened during that period, very proud of the staff and how many cuts were made, and how the attention to animal welfare and care never flagged during that. All the staff took pay cuts. We reopened in June. We have had admission capacity limits. I just lifted those because we're not coming anywhere near our capacity limits anyway in the winter. Belle Nature Center is still closed, but you'll see some excitement around that in a minute. We really took everything to a new level with vitamin Z learning programs. We went virtual, reached a far greater reach than we could have just having programs in schools and on grounds. So we're going to keep that up because we learned that we can have a much bigger impact. Public events canceled, very limited volunteer opportunities, although we just recruited 160 new volunteers that are much younger and much more diverse. So we're really proud of that. It's a hard group to hit when you're looking for volunteers. Wildlights did fantastic. I'll talk a little bit about that. And like I said, we've lifted our outdoor capacity. We still have indoor capacity limits, and members do not need reservations. I'm going to fly through this so I have time for questions after. That's why I'm talking so fast. Please excuse me on that. Our financial results for 21 were really good. Our revenues were up considering we're in the middle of a pandemic. They're nowhere near what we used to do, but much better than we had hoped for. I think people are just anxious to get outside. They're anxious to connect with nature. The zoo is so well supported. It's so impressive. Our attendance, we budgeted for 690,000. We actually saw 960. So that's pretty impressive. And again, speaks to that need to connect to nature. Our member households are up from what we thought. We're nowhere near pre-pandemic, obviously, but we're on the road to recovery, which is really important. And our 2022 operating budget, we're hoping will be around 40 million. We forecast that based on where we think attendance will go. We won't be up to pre-pandemic levels, but we've seen the thirst from people to get back to the zoo. We have a capital campaign in full swing right now. It's a private, it hasn't gone public yet, but we're trying to raise money for Kids Zone. I'll talk a little bit about that. Belle Nature Center, rebuild our endowment and reserves and programs and operations. Community outpouring of support in 2021, we raised more than $10.2 million in philanthropic support to keep us going. Really important to save these dates. Bunnyville's coming up, April 15th and 16th. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. Dinosauria, we're bringing back dinosaurs, so that's super exciting. Opens March 28th, we'll run through the summer. And we have 2 senior days planned so we can get the whole population in and enjoying the zoo. And don't forget, sunset at the zoo is Friday, June 24th. Zone, this is going to be a boon for the zoo and the kids in the area. It won't open till 2024, but we're actively planning it right now, and it's really exciting. It takes up 7 acres of the zoo with a big central play zone. And the theme for this is You Matter. So we want kids from all diverse backgrounds, all of the areas around Detroit and the surrounding metro area to come in and connect with nature and figure out that they matter, nature matters, the environment matters. We'll actually open a contact yard so kids can go in and brush goats and sheep. That's a first for the Detroit Zoo. We'll bring in some unusual species like alpaca. We're bringing back bush dogs, which are super popular and one of my favorites. It was one of my additions right away. We'll have interesting artwork and play spaces. It will be accessible to handicapped children. That's very important to our mission. And I think it's going to be just a very unique play space with life-size bugs and nets and nests and climbing structures that are, again, are handicapped accessible. Belle Isle Nature Center is slated to reopen in sometime this spring. We've done a complete renovation in there. We've had some great grant support, some great capital campaign support. We've already opened an outdoor feature called Overlooked, which is macro photography of the things that are around your feet. So that's really fun, bugs and pollinators. We had a great winter fest out there. We've continued with all of our outdoor programming, and remember, everything is free at the Belle Isle Nature Center, including camps and programs. So that's fantastic for everybody in Detroit. Renovations are really exciting. I was just in there last week. The backdrop to all of the new habitats is the Detroit city skyline and what creatures live around us, and connecting people to the urban nature that they share spaces with, pollinators, mud puppies, raptors, things that they see every day but might not appreciate the impact to the environment from those experiences. Then Great Lakes Center for Nature. We're really committed to this. This will be my first totally stamp on something, so I'm really excited about this. It's going to be in Macomb County. We're advancing the knowledge of the Great Lakes ecosystem and how important that ecosystem is to all of the people in this area, connecting people with our conservation efforts locally and regionally. We're going to connect people to the lakes. It's going to be geared very heavily towards school-age children as well as college-age kids and adults. I guess I should say young adults and adults. We're going to really focus on, again, that ecosystem and how important that ecosystem is and the sustainability initiatives that we have going around the Great Lakes. As I'm new, and because this was started pre-pandemic and then everything halted, we've just hired Johnson Gross-Nickel and Associates to do a funding campaign assessment so that I can wrap my head around what we're going to need to raise. We've hired CSL International to do an economic impact study so we can figure out what the impact to that community will be. We're pulling together our internal committees and board task forces for concept and design work, which is starting up again right now. We're working on the state level to get some appropriations to support this initiative, and PR and communications and outreach to Macomb County. As I'm new, this has been kind of a slow startup post-pandemic, although we're not really post-pandemic yet. But I really thought it was important for me to get a firm grasp on where this was going and what it would look like. It was a lot of concept done before I started, but the pandemic shut everything down. I'm hoping that we can get that going and get some excitement generated around that, because it's going to be a fantastic center. You'll see new marketing initiatives out there, really trying to connect people to the zoo. We have a rebranding campaign happening right now. We've hired Noetic to help us with that. We're right in the middle of that, looking at how our brand guide, how we look and feel to the community, because we do so many different things. We really need to brand what we do so that people understand we're not just a zoo, we're not just a conservation organization, we're not just education and diversity, we're all of those things packaged together. 20th consecutive year of issue inspections. I've never heard of that in a zoo. Highest 10 consecutive years of highest rating from Charity Navigator and GuideStar, again, unheard of. We got the Core Magazine Diversity Champion Award for 2021 and Cranes Magazine for Notable Leader in Sustainability. So we're super excited about those awards. Our staff efforts for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. I will say this is another thing that really drew me to the zoo because we're one of the only zoos doing this in a concentrated effort. We have internal task force and working groups. We have our board is going through training with Woods and Watts. We have weekly DEIA teachable moments at all of our manager meetings. And again, our volunteer recruitment efforts are geared towards diversity and access and inclusion. A fantastic wildlife year. Just people just want to get out. They want to get outside. They want to connect. It was beautiful. If you didn't go, I encourage you to go. Here. So 2022, this is my last slide. We're really excited to be bringing dinos back. We've got a $32 million campaign happening. Again, Kids Zone, rebuild our reserves, Belle Isle. We reopened the Poke Penguin Conservation Center. That was really exciting. Did that on Valentine's Day to connect people back to the penguins. I love that picture of the little girl. We're investing 3% of our operating budget into conservation again, something that most zoos couldn't do, and we've really kept that as a mission central objective. Grade A Park Project, which is a project I started, came with me to the zoo, so it's an internationally recognized project looking at heart disease in apes. And we're starting a new organizational strategic plan. So my vision for the future is to get our strategic plan organized into consolidated metrics and then build a new master plan, because I'm very proud to say that we continue to partner with the Detroit Public Schools, bringing in over 4,000 school children to the zoo every year. So that's super important to remember when you think about the zoo as an education facility. Stop sharing. I know I flew through that and respect everybody's time, and I wanted to open it up to questions.
Thank you so much. I know you've been here for just a few months now, but I appreciate you coming in and getting with all of the things appreciating the things we've done in the past, but having your own stamp moving forward. So I look forward to working with you in the upcoming years. I did serve on the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion subcommittee that was chaired by former board member Karen Dumas. And that we did a great work, and I appreciated the intentionality of the zoo looking at diversity and inclusion, especially when it comes to our volunteer staff and all of our staff, and of course also with vendors and with projects and with different ways we're going to let out some of the contracts that we're involved in. So I look forward to continuing our efforts in that space. I want to also at this time welcome Paul. Hi, Paul. Are you back? You're on mute, but I'm glad you're back.
Paul is back.
Paul is back. Paul was gone and now he's back. Good to see you, Paul. Although you
but he's helping me navigate meeting everybody because there's a lot of people to meet.
Yes, there are a lot of people.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board members? Any questions at all? To Dr. Murphy, any questions? Terry?
Thank you.
Turn your mic back on,
Mic is
Terry.
off.
There you go.
Okay, start over.
Yep.
All right, thank you for the presentation. It's nice to meet you and welcome to the area. We're excited you're here. Just one quick question. Is the penguin exhibit A-okay right now? Because it looked like there were some problems even after it opened.
We're still leaking about 4.6 gallons a day. Actually, it's a very accurate count because we monitor it actively. It is underground, the leaks, and we're not sure where it's coming from exactly. We have some suspicions. To really get to those leaks, it would have required tearing up a brand new terrazzo floor. And we're not sure we can fix what's going on because of the volume of water and the temperature of water that goes through some of those pipes. And so there is no structural damage occurring. We actively pump out the leak, and we have everything on a backup system with alarms that are also backed up. And so we'll know if it ever gets worse. You know, one thing that I've worked with some pretty major aquatic systems in the past, and you never have a totally dry system. And so, looking at where those leaks were occurring and the fact that they're pretty far underground and they're being pumped out actively, I didn't see any reason not to open that center for the community.
Was that under some kind of warranty when that happened?
It is under warranty, and we're still in negotiations about how far we extend that warranty, so that we can make sure that if those leaks get worse, we can address them. They've been stable for over a year now at 4.6 gallons. And so the other major leaks have all been addressed and there's no other problems. So I don't anticipate we're going to have anything out of the normal for a large aquatic system. And I consider this fairly in line with a large aquatic system. So especially at that temperature, this is the largest cold pool in the world. And so I think we all learned a little bit about cold water and pressure after building this.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Wafa?
Thank you. Thanks for your time. And I'm really excited to hear that the Penguinarium is open so I could take my kids back over there. I have a question. In your presentation, you talked about a couple, a PR campaign specifically for Macomb County. Is there any specific outreach or any work that you're doing in Wayne County specifically, the largest county that's being served?
Well, we've got the Belle Isle Nature Center reopening coming up, so we'll have a lot of excitement and events around that. We're still trying to get increased participation of the school groups outside of the elementary school kids. So we're looking at increasing our volunteer or teenage volunteer program. If you're not familiar with the volunteer term, I think it's used outside of zoos, but it's very popular in zoos. So we used to take volunteers and they only had to do 20 hours and it was very, not a very driven focused program. I have asked education to reimagine, bring in teens from the city. We're trying to do 120 hours of volunteer work a year and grow those teens throughout the 4 years they're in college or in high school, prepping them for college. So it won't just be out on grounds. It'll be focusing on resumes and how to get your first job or internship. It'll be focused on careers in zoos and aquariums. So we're trying to reformat some of those programs. Internships also. I'm trying to get paid internships so that people who can't afford to do volunteer internships for a summer to get experience and job opportunities can actually partake in those opportunities. All of these will be really focused on the Tri-County area, but specifically, at least at Belle Isle, Wayne County will be a central area of focus. So we're doing a lot of community outreach around career growth, conservation, and making sure kids can connect to that nature story so that they think about careers in the environment. That is a big passion for me. I really believe in that. At Zoo Atlanta, we grew people through our volunteer program that are now our curators there and our directors at other zoos. And I think with intentionality, you can have a huge impact.
Thank you. Any additional questions from any of our members? To go a little bit further, you spoke about Senior Day is June 1st, I believe that was. If you could send the dates for the Senior Day, that would be helpful so that we can spread the word to commissioners, the Wayne County commissioners, and then this board, of course, to let different groups know and be aware of that. So if you could send those dates to us, we could start putting that out there. Several of us have senior buildings in our districts, and that would be wonderful for us to try to get them out. Being outside, of course, is perfect for our seniors. So let us know those dates. And I believe you said June 24th was the Sunset at the Zoo event.
Yep.
which is
Sunset.
always a wonderful evening. If you have not gone to that, that's one of my favorite summer activities. So this will be your first sunset. So I think you'll be
Well,
very pleased on what that looks like and the money that we're able to raise from that event. It was a beautiful summer evening. It'll be absolutely fantastic. So we look forward to working with you. And let me just let the board know, I sit on the big board of the zoo. So one of the things that has been in conversation over the last few years is getting presence in Macomb County, because the zoo was a tri-county effort, Macomb, Oakland, and Macomb. And a lot of the programming, of course, the zoo is located, in Oakland, and then we have Belle and the Nature Zoo, but there wasn't a lot of programming in Macomb. So there was some intention on trying to do something to bring Macomb in so they can feel that they're getting something for the tax dollars that they're putting in this as well. So, and this had been spoke about for a bit. So I'm glad that we're finally starting to move on that nature center there in Belle in Macomb County, because like I said, we've talked about it for a long time. So to have something for them would be great. So when the next millage comes around, hopefully they'll feel inclined to support it again. And in Wayne County, a big thing that I've always pushed and has been being pushed is the school-age children being able to have programming, either the zoo coming to the schools or the school-age children going out to the zoo. I think is so important, especially in those elementary years. I'm glad to hear you speak about expanding that to middle and high school, because that can also be important as high school students start to think of careers, to have that exposure to what a career in the zoological field could look like. So I look forward to seeing how that program rolls out as well. Any additional questions for our director? Terry.
Exactly, where is the Great Lakes project in Macomb County?
I don't have a site yet, despite all of the
Okay.
flurry about that in the press. We haven't picked a site yet. We have been looking at Macomb County Community College, but nothing has been signed. Or, in fact, there's some very preliminary designs of a shell of a building that Ron Kagan did before he left, but we're putting it all back on the table.
At one point, it was over at the Metro Park too. There was some talk about having it somewhere at the Metro Talk. I don't know if those talks are still going on, but that was one of the places of consideration. So hopefully,
Yeah.
the site will be.
Yeah, I haven't had any site talks. I have talked to Macomb County Community College once just to say hi and what was envisioned there. But I'm still, we're at the, what does it look like and how much will it cost and what will the impact be? And then we'll move to where will it be? So, I've gotten a lot of comments about, well, build it here, build it there. And I am not committing to anything until I get a better feel for what it's gonna be and what the programming will be like. Whether, obviously water is gonna be a big focus. And so what does that look like? Is it a two-phase project with a waterfront and a non-waterfront phase? Is it just a building on the water? Is it boats? I don't know yet. We really need to do some looking around, and I need to be able to feel comfortable with where we land. And I'm too new to do that so far.
Thank you. Any additional questions, comments? All right, Dr. Murphy, we look forward to seeing you in person one day.
I hope so.
Yes, maybe at our next meeting, you'll be able to come and give us any updates. But thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come update us today. We appreciate it. And of course, Paul, we will be in touch to all of the activities. There's so many activities that go on the zoo all the time, between runs and walks and now that I guess we're kind of sort of getting out of COVID, maybe sort of back to some of the concert series that were at the zoo and other events. So we look forward to getting a list of all those activities that we can partake in and share with our constituents. So thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you. It's great to meet you all. I can't wait to do it in person.
Likewise. I'll see you soon, Dr. Murphy, at our next board meeting.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Right. Well, that was good. I guess one thing that came out of the pandemic is the ability, or the more readily available ability to have these hybrid type of meetings. So I guess that's the one thing we'll say. Although we're still working on the technology in this room because it's still a little muffled hearing. So was it muffled to you all? Was it just me? Yeah. We still have some technical difficulties, but hopefully we'll get those worked out in the near future. Okay, at this time, next item, Madam Clerk.
Madam Chair, I do have a response to WAPA's question,
Oh.
and this information has been emailed to all of the members. All of the firms are either minority-owned or woman-owned firms, and they are George Johnson and Company, Montgomery and Company, Glenn Olivetti and Company, Charles Brown and Company, Gregory Terrell and Company, Sherry Carter, CPA, Ramona A. Pearson, CPA, Randy K. Lane, and Alan C. Young and Associates.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, next item, please.
Such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
There are none. Is
Public comments.
there anyone on Zoom? Anyone on Zoom? Who would like to give public comments? Anyone on Zoom for public comments? Anyone in the audience? Hi, Tim. No one in the audience for public comments. Okay, next item, please.
Adjournment.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Okay, moved and supported, we're adjourned. Thank you all so much. And we will make sure that we get all of the exciting activities to everyone going forward. So thank you all.